Nice to be here. Thank you, Prashant. After making the first over with a 6, now let me see what happens in the second over. So good to see every one of you here. Good, glad to be here. Thank you, Kanika, for the opportunity, and Joseph for putting such a great show here, because this is what it is, and this really binds people and stakeholders together. This is a very good thing, wherein vendors, architects, and people who are of the field and fraternity, they actually bind together. There is so much exchange of ideas that happens, and this is the way forward. So a great show put up, and with so knowledgeable speakers that you have assorted for this session. Is the PPT on? So PPT is something that I seldom try and do, because I think that the power has no point, and it is the dialogue that is interesting. So I would want to make it more interactive and interesting. If you have anything, please jump in to share your thoughts. I would just like to share my experiences of working in this industry for the past, as Desmond said, 20 years now and running. We have been doing landscapes, and water, as we say, is the spirit of life. We all know that, and we have, going back to geography, we all know that we are sitting only on 29% of the earth, whereas 70%, 71%, as we learned, is water. And as we did that, as we studied geography, and as kids we understood that the oceans is of water, and then we brought it into our lives in some way or the other. So that is a very important role that water plays. Why? The most important question that I always relate and ask is the why. Like, why is it necessary for us to understand and learn about water? Why not anything else? So if I may push this question to the younger lot, why? Why is water important? Then just because this exhibition or conference has been set up, or for some other reason? Why? To this table, I see.
Yes, would anybody like to answer that? Why is water important?
You need it for survival.
Yes, but you need air for survival, you need food for survival, you need Wi-Fi for survival, you need communication for you would probably starve with 2 days without food, but you would not starve without a Wi-Fi, right? So then why is water so important? We are all made of water. Our body structure, break it down to cellular level, we are more of water than we are of bones. But the point is that water as an element soothes your brain. As we have seen, it has tremendous amount of therapeutic benefits. As we negotiate with water day in and day out, doctor does recommend drink 2 liters, 7 liters of water a day, and because keeping yourself hydrated directly impacts your brain. What functions, when you talk, when you perform, your brain neurons are at play, and water gives that magic feeling where it emits it emits negative ions, which soothes your brain, is a great stress reliever. Why do we run to beaches? Why do we run to swimming pools? Why do we run to jacuzzis? Because it is a great stress buster. The moment you dip in water, your body relaxes, your blood pressure soothes out, your probable anger or anything and everything dies down. It mellows down in the waves of water. So that is a role that water has played in our lives, and with the advent of technology, with the advent of flexibility, luxury, we have brought it into our bathtubs and jacuzzis and waterfalls and cascades to come nearer, because every time going to the beach isn't possible. You would probably go there only over a vacation. So as technology evolved and let us have water amongst us, we did it in the products that you see around. And as Prashant excellently showed us, the equipments and the hardware and the softwares that are available today with us. So with that, in hindsight, with that as a setting the tone for why it is so important for us to understand how we deal with water, I would just show you some images of how can you bring water into your day-to-day area of luxury, or our area of practice, which is landscapes, and how we have dealt with it, and what do we mean when we say water in landscapes. How do I? Can you? Yep. No. Please don't end it so soon. We just started. Next. Yes, no? Oh, okay. So, before, can I go before? Yes. Good that the screen is here, I am looking here, you are there, and the PC is there. Nothing above, so. Yes. But we are on the last. Can we go to the first? Okay, I am going back. Yes. So, before we come to, there is something that we call as aquascapes. And as Prashant decoded a myth of aquascapes and waterscapes. So, throwing some light on what aquascape means is, for more often than not, it has meant waterscapes for us. Anything and everything that needs to be done with water is categorized as a term of aquascapes. But aquascape is something, is actually garden within water. So all gardens that happen within the inside water, wherein an entire ecosystem is created with fishes, with shells, with rocks, with plants. So that is an ecosystem which is created, which is terminologized as aquascapes. Yeah. So that is one myth that I wanted to elaborate on, that there is a difference between aquascapes and waterscapes, with aquascapes meaning more to do with an entire garden beneath water. This is what an entire ecosystem is when you deal with aquascapes. So it is an art form. It is as like everything, it's an art and science. The way you deal with it, the growing media that you use, the barks that you would use to develop, the soil depth that you would use for plants to grow within a garden in water is an prevalent since 1930s. A Japanese inventor by the name of Tokushima invented aquascapes and underwater gardens initially. They took steam way back in 1950s onwards, and still it is a very premium luxury product you wouldn't see much of in the Indian context. There are some structural challenges, and then we come to water bodies. So that was the art aspect of it, and then you come to the routine water bodies that we see here and that we generally see around us, which are the spas and the gyms and the jacuzzis. So there are a certain challenges that we have to face, because as Prashant also highlighted, the myth is that it is complex, it is challenging. It is, but if not dealt rightly. Every new concept is a challenge if not dealt correctly. So if there are structural challenges in creating water bodies, the structural challenges are of leakage, of constructing, of the weight of water, salinity of water because you touch and feel water. So your skin, your reaction to the skin, people with different allergies. So all these dynamics come to play when you are designing water bodies or water features for a end user. These challenges will always be there, but they also have solutions. They have experts like Prashant, you have people who are been there, done that in the industry who help you to, and with the brands that I see here who have excellent products to deal with, to negotiate our way to solve these challenges. When you do that, again, it is as creative as your mind would be. So water as an element can take the shape and form of the container that it is put in. You put into a bowl, it becomes round. If you put into a box, it becomes square. So that gives you the flexibility of creativity. So you can deal with water the way you want, and what you see will be some images of how water can be dealt with to give you the feeling that you want. You want a meditation zone wherein you would not want a hustling, bustling water fountain. You would want something which is a sheet of water fountain, which is very silent, which soothes, which talks to you at an intellectual level. So you create a sheet of water fountain. You are into a garden where kids are playing. There you would want a water fountain which also makes noise, competes, gives you company. Just imagine yourself walking in a garden with nobody in the garden, and you are alone. But just you are walking in the same garden which has a water fountain with a mild sound, even then you are not alone. So these are the psychological benefits that a water fountain and a water feature gives you when incorporated into your spaces. What you see here is, for example, a water curtain with strings. We were involved into making a water curtain with strings of almost 4 floors, and it brings up a host of plethora of challenges. Wind pressure, how will that drop of water travel from the top end to the bottom, and the way it travels, the rainbow that it creates, the magic and the music that it creates is something out of the world. Then what should be the thickness of the rope? Should it be a wire? It should be a tungsten wire? Should it be a GI wire or an SS wire? That differentiates the quality of drop of the water that will fall in. So you can create a water curtain, you could create a bubbler fountain that you saw earlier, you could create a sheet of water that I spoke of. So very silent. There is a lot of engineering that goes into this. It is not easy. Taking a photograph is the easiest part of such water fountains. But the volume of water, the thickness of the slit from what the water will fall, the speed at which it will fall gives us this kind of effect. And this happens after tons of iterations, tons of modifications, tons of maneuvering the speed, quality, control of water. Only then you get that perfect fine sheet. And wind comes and spoils your sheet, but then it has to come back again to where it is. Then you have cascades wherein you have, we play around with the surface finishes, because plain water falling on a plain surface versus water falling on a rough surfaces gives that the feeling, gives a texture to water. In the earlier image you saw a plain texture, here you are seeing a rough texture. So the rough texture is because of the wall that is behind it. So the texture of water created by granite or a stone cladding bushing surface, a foam water fountain, again depending on the height, what you want, what is the wind velocity. If you make it a bit higher, your wind will spill over water to the passage area, which will become a maintenance hazard. So the right controls of the nozzle, the right controls of the height is important to ascertain when you deal with, when you do such kind of fountains. Or a dandelion fountain, which is so much famous and done across gardens that you see. Again, a similar textured block of stone and a water fountain. Why is it going back? or aeration. Now here an ecosystem has been created. These are aerators which oxygenate water. Water becomes stagnant if it is left alone. And for water to breathe, it needs aeration. So simple aerators placed in water help create that ecosystem. Otherwise your fish and your entire ecosystem in the water will die. So creating an ecosystem in small lakes is something which also helps the flora, fauna and expanding the field. Again a typical three-layered fountain which would again be apt for public spaces and plazas and urban parks, because those are the places where people negotiate themselves more. I think this was what I just wanted to sensitize all of us with, that there are plethora of options. This is just to this is not the option, but this is just to give us the sense that water is a very important element. So key takeaways that I would like to leave you with, that let us respect water for its worth. Let us value water for its worth. All said and done, water is drastically downplayed in today's economy. 10,000 liters of tanker water cost us 1500 rupees. It's dirt cheap. 10 rupees of 1 liter of water is still dirt cheap. So somewhere we are taking water for granted, and with what is happening, why are we fighting towards sustainability, is because of the scarcity that we are about imminent to face. But with all said and done, the benefits that water provides us, it is necessary to invite that into our lives and do it responsibly. And there are methods, solutions, experts, and the way we would want it to elevate our life. There is an aspirational value with a swimming pool or a jacuzzi. It is no more roti kapda makan. It is roti kapda makan, Wi-Fi, and a pool, and a jacuzzi, and a car, and a SUV. So as you climb that ladder of aspiration, bringing it to there elevates our lifestyle quotient. So with that thought, I would leave you with what I had to share. Thank you.
Wow. Such in-depth insights that we have coming in. And of course, the calibrated students of the Architectural College of Goa are also omnipresent here today, NILESH. And almost 90% understand the subject that we're speaking about. The others that have come in as delegates, as visitors, they're here with us today. So I'm sure we're going to have very smart questions coming up from you all for NILESH, so that what he has spoken a while ago, there's been something brand new for you, and let me tell you that the Fraternity of Architecture earns crores of rupees. So you're coming into something that is very, very great, and one of them for the turnkey projects that we see over here.
Is there an option to deny?
Yes. So, like a lawyer, an attorney, you'd be very, very smart indeed if you are better than the rest. And to be better than the rest, you need to ask questions. And that's exactly what it is. So I'm going to have an open microphone. Anybody would like to ask a question? NILESH? Well, different shapes and sizes. We've heard that before in clothing. So food, clothing and shelter, all three go together. Shelter is right here, but it comes in different forms. So here we're talking about aqua spaces, or scapes as we call it. Yes.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jennifer Kamit,
Yes.
also like you in Green Buildings. I just want you to elaborate on how you control microclimate with water.
True. Excellent. Good that you highlighted, and because I missed it. So what I missed is a mister. So microclimate is controlled by foggers and misters which come in water fountains. Water foggers and misters, they emit out water at micromillimeters of drop length, and when they do it, the humidity of that area increases, the temperature reduces. That's how you can control the immediate surrounding of where water fountains are. So it's again an aspect of what you saw on all the different types of water fountains. Foggers and misters are something that we extensively use in landscapes. They are also used to wash leaves, because in landscapes the plant thrives on photosynthesis and it thrives on breathing through the leaf, and the leaf is the surface which also accumulates dust, and it will not breathe if it is not clean, and it is not practical for a gardener to go and clean every leaf, and it doesn't rain 24/7 by 12, so the leaves need to be clean, and that happens by foggers and misters, wherein you have a zone of water oozing out, which to a certain extent can never clean it the way you can mop a leaf, which you cannot, but at least it brushes off the immediate layer of leaf, which helps in healthier plants, which helps in healthier growth of the landscape. Thanks for asking.
Thank you, Nilesh. Any more questions, sir? Well, let me tell you, sometimes there are no stupid questions in life.
True.
All right, sometimes if we don't understand the subject matter, we might not have done our homework because it's brand new for us. We can still open ourselves to ask questions.
I do this, I also teach in colleges, and when I go there, students are very hesitant to ask questions, because as students that has also happened to us. Like, you really are wary of asking a question with the fear that what if this question sounds, as you say, stupid to all around. I'll be mocked and they will say, "Hey, aisa kya question pooch rahe hai? What? This is such an easy question to ask." But then I tell my students that if you ask a question, you might be silly for one time, but if you don't get an answer, you will be silly for life. So it's better to be silly and foolish once rather than be for life. Yes,
I would like
Professor.
to ask this question on behalf of maybe the students and faculty here. You showed us fantastic examples, different examples of how water can be very controlled in a very good manner. You know, different kind of things, whether it should be a
Right.
sheet of water, flows. What is more important for them to understand? See, design concepts is easy to see,
Right.
but the technology, you rightly pointed out, that amount of technology which goes behind that, and sustainable technology.
Correct.
That is very important. So I would like you to give a bit, the time is short, but a little bit of insight into that. Like say the sheet of water,
Yeah.
when you were telling us that how the quantity and the thickness or that screen.
Correct.
So how do you control it? What's the technology? Is it possible to give a little insight
Yeah,
into
it's
that?
simple, no rocket science in fountains. We spoke of saving water, so water fountains ought always to happen with recirculating water. So the simple logic is you have a container of water and you want a water body, so your water will have to be recycled. You cannot have a stream of water and you cannot waste water. So now how do you recycle water is by pump. As simple as that, you need a pump to recycle the water. All that you would need is makeup water. Makeup water means all the water that you lose by way of evaporation. So only that much content, which could be say 10% of water, is what you will need to feed in for the water fountain to work. So all that a water fountain needs is a outlet where the water is, where it spits water. You need a pump which will keep on recirculating the same water again and again, and you would need an inlet, because you wouldn't want to fill your water fountain with buckets. So yes, you would need an inlet for that water fountain, and you would need an outlet for maintenance when you want to just drain off the entire water fountain and clean the water fountain. So any water fountain can exist with these key four things: an inlet, an outlet, a water pump, and recirculating of water. Then there will be iterations and options, then the variations will happen depending on the design that you choose. But no water fountain, no water body will exist without these four basic things.
Well, one more question we'd like to have.
Nilesh bhai,
Yes, please.
if at all, say in a particular landscape, depending on to the region which it falls in, the climatic region, I think because you pointed out very beautifully the erectors, the foggers and the misters, in controlling the overall temperature or of the place. So are there any thumb rules which we can really apply into our projects, whereby a percentage of landscape is converted with or is played with water into it? So if at all there is something which you can really brighten up, it would be nice.
Unfortunately, there are no thumb rules for this particular aspect. As you rightly said, geographies will vary, humidity will vary, temperature will vary. There is no thumb rule as to how much of an area or how much of an water I should ooze out into the atmosphere which will reduce my temperature or increase my humidity. Because these are very local solutions. You have known the jalis of Jaipur and how water has been channelized to, for example, consider this hall. What would I need to do to reduce the ambient temperature of this hall to 2 degrees below what it is outside? Now what you would need to actually do is see to it that where it is taking heat from and insulate the southern facades wherein I draw less heat. Then eventually your entire temperature inside will be 2 degrees lesser than what it is outside. But for open areas it becomes a bigger challenge because it is an atmosphere which is binding it. It is not an enclosed space. So to answer your question short, there are no thumb rules, I'm sorry. Yes, Kanika, of course.
Yeah, so Nilesh, very interesting. I like that, you had that steel rope and 4 floors of water cascading and stuff like that. So really interesting stuff when you guys showcase. One thing I want to, mention, in the age-old days, we had that troughs, water troughs in all the, monuments.
Yeah.
And from the water trough, we had that khaskhas ki chatai.
Correct.
And then that
it is still used. Those are
and,
those desert coolers.
and then with capillary action, it
Yep.
was cooling. So amazing stuff. I think traditionally we had some awesome solutions, but right today, I mean, I don't know how much is in context and how much. Are we really looking back into what we, from where we came really?
True, true.
So our cultural wealth is there, but I don't know how much we can apply now today. Where do you get khaskhas ki chatai now? It's a,
No, if you have any relations to the Vidarbha region in Maharashtra,
Okay.
Jalgaon, Nagpur, there these desert coolers still exist. And those are the most sustainable and most friendly to your body temperature coolers. You have, again, it is a water circulating mechanism and it drops water from the top layer, it drops down and it is an exhaust fan. And desert water cooler is just an exhaust fan which works like a fogger and mister, but again it gives great benefits.
and also this was giving a beautiful, fragrance.
Aroma.
Yes.
Yes.
So it was many things multiplied.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, Architect Nilesh, you see that this is a perfect rendezvous for us, wherein we connect with people who have got the expertise in a subject matter, and that's exactly a live example of what Kanika asked Architect Nilesh, and she got the answers for it in terms of the remote places of India where you might find it. And that's the reason why expos and exhibitions are very important for us to attend, as you can see today. So much of resourceful knowledge that has been given. Thank you so much for your time, sir.